These are the 5 brackets that are going to hold the Z-axis scale. This is the top side where the scale will be mounted actually underneath, and then all the part then down here, this is where it will be mounted to the lathe. And now I modeled all this on the computer in Fusion 360, so I have enough room to do the offset of the scales. These are backwards. Oops. all the top slots are the same. It's just the position on the left and right end, so they don't stick out past the end of the scale. But it should give me enough room for up and down motion and for in and out motion to get the scale adjusted nice and square with the carriage. What I did here is I took a magnetic indicator holder. I took one of my Randy Richard in the shop round scribes, which is 3/8 in diameter, so it fits perfect in an indicator holder, and have it set for the height I want the top of my bracket to sit at on the lathe. And I marked some spots where the rough area where the bracket will be with some Sharpie, and I scribed a small line at each spot along the way, all at the same height according to the carriage. Yeah, I mean relationship to the carriage, and that's what you want. Everything in relationship to the carriage, because the reed head will be attached to the carriage, and that way we can get it all set up nice and level with the carriage and square with the carriage. Now, after several back and forth, up and down max travel with the carriage, I've determined that I'd like to put the reed head about 3 1/4 inches from the end of the carriage, right in this zone here, and it's flat on the bottom. I could make some mounting holes on the bottom, or even a couple mounting holes here in the face. And if I have the head there, I have a little extra room past the head, which gives me a little clearance, and so it will sit in this roughly the way where it's sitting right now, the scale. And at the far end, I have room maybe an inch or so down there also of extra space on the end of the scale. So this looks like a good location. I've marked the height of my brackets, and we'll mount the first bracket, and then we'll hold it up there and get it situated where maybe the middle one goes, and clamp it or something if I can, and then I can mark the rest of the bracket locations. So we'll get the one end bracket done first. I'm doing my best, but so you can see. But when you see the finished product, you'll understand what I'm doing. And I should have plenty of adjustment if I have to move it up or down. These slots the up and down slots aren't real long, and they're only a little less than 1/2 inch long. And but I shouldn't need much up and down movement, and I have slots on the top for in and out. In and out is going to be a little acrylic. I'll run a dial indicator along the side of it to adjust that in and out. And there's 5 locations, and I should be able to get it very straight. There you can see how that is going to mount in there. It's low enough I can drill it and tap it, and high enough that it's pretty much out of the way of interferences and stuff. So that's the whole part of it, is all the interferences. I was able to use a can't twist type clamp. Actually, a viewer made those and gave those to me, 2 of them, very nice. And a block on the inside of the wave frame, I was able to clamp these in place. So I have 2 clamps, clamping 2 of them in place. Third one over here, the other one over to the left here. This one's loose, and I will align it and mark it so I can drill that. And then I can go over to the next one, work my way on down. Now I used a transfer punch to get a small punch mark, and then I used a bigger center punch to deepen it. And I'm going to drill it. Now I'm using 4mm screws because I have them, and they're sufficient. Almost 3/16. Now I'm drilling right on through, all the way through actually. This has a real thick lip here that's an inch and a quarter or so, but I'm right above it. So I'm able to drill through the web, which is probably about 3/4, maybe a little less, maybe 5/8. All right, you can see the scales right in here. There are the brackets. It's all mounted. Now, I have to mount this, the scale part, the frame part of it, and then I have to slip in the magnetic strip and the cover. I did not install the magnetic strip yet anyway, but I had to remove the stainless cover to do this, to put these screws through. It's just the way it works, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first level it this way. Well, I say level, but it's in line with the travel of the carriage. Relative to the carriage, it needs to be parallel to the carriage travel. So we'll do that on the top, the height, get that done, and then we'll check it on the side for in and out, so it's parallel in both planes. Now I have the magnetic base up underneath the carriage, and then I have it up underneath the bottom, riding inside the magnetic strip slot, so we can get this level. We'll just go back and forth and adjust them and get it leveled up. Now, accuracy is maybe just a couple thousandths, 3 or 4 even is probably fine. So the head does not need to ride flat on it. You can leave 10, 15 thousandths in there. So if you're out a little bit, it's okay. The scale's all mounted, ready to go. I've removed the one end cap. I had to remove the end cap so I can put in the stainless cover piece that goes over the magnetic strip. This is the magnetic strip. It's about a little less than 3/8 of it, about 3/8 of an inch wide. It's bonded to another piece of, I think, thin stainless steel and adhesive. Now, I don't need to have the stainless cover in here to put this up. This will just push up on there and glue in, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to push it up on there and adhesive back it in. I've cleaned that with acetone, so it's will stick good. And then I'll have to slip in the stainless cover strip back in, because it goes into some grooves. And then I'll put the cap back on, and then we'll... Okay, pretty simple. Now this is a stainless cover piece. It's about 3/4 of an inch wide. When I took it off, I rolled it up so it doesn't get damaged, and we'll be able to slip it in from the end. Goes in fairly easily, so it's, you just got to keep pushing it. Except for where I just get a bunch of oil on it. Go. Put the end cap back on. I made the Readout mount. This is a piece of the aluminum, same aluminum 3-inch angle that I made the scale mounts from. It's a piece of 7075 T7 actually. And then I took this another piece of a 6061 aluminum block. And I have adjustment here, and I'll have adjustment here. So that gives me up and down, and angular, and in and out a little bit of adjustment on the block. And there's a very small up and down movement in these. These are slots in the reed head itself. So just a bolt together thing. You really can't weld to 75, at least not in my shop I can't. So 7075 is very, very difficult. I guess there is some new procedure about being able to weld it, but it takes some very special stuff. But anyway, so I just bolted them together, but gives me a little more alignment problem or adjustments. But anyway, this is going to really work out well. Just put it right. Well, it's just going to bolt up on here, and reed head should be done. Mark the wheel. Okay. That's okay. Slide, and this is my setup here to figure out where the scale is going to go. I'm going to cut this scale to be a little shorter. The travel of my cross slide, now I have it all the way forward here, we'll call it forward, out here toward the operator end against the dial, is 8.5 inches. Actually, it's 8 3/8, but we're going to call it 8.5 because a little extra is okay. Actually, I'm going to add at least an inch to that measurement right off the bat. So make sure I have clearance on each end. I have room to do this, so. Now, what I've already done is I've already made these blocks. I did some measurements and, you know, and then I came up with this little design of the block where the scale is upside down or facing down. It's close to the cross slide. This side of the cross slide is a machined surface. And this is still above the bottom of the cross slide, which it needs to be for clearances. So it's just a little bit above, maybe 30 or so thousandths. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw this in with a socket head cap screw right into this. And I'll mark this with a transfer punch, drill it, tap it. I'm using 4mm screws that came with all the scales. And then this guard is going to go over the top of it. Okay? And I have to have clearance for that. So everything has to be below this surface. Nothing can be above this surface because of the compound. And so I have about 1/8 of an inch from the screw. I might be able to trim the screw a little bit. So we have clearance and we'll be good. The cover or the guard will sit on top of that nut. So, but anyway, what I've done here is I have some blocks using the fire tool blocks, and because they have magnets and they're nice and very nice precision blocks. So we have that all set up as where I want it to go. I have my grub screws here. Now this is what's in here, but I'm going to change these and put in set screws. Some dog point type set screws. I'll probably machine the end for this application, and they'll go in against the gib. I'll take these out. But I'll be able to reach them. This is above those screws. Now the cover will be over 2 of them, and I'll probably put holes in so I can access those grub screws. We have it 2 inches from the end here all the way forward. I measured to approximately where I'm going to go, and this is the reed head. The reed head will mount up underneath like so. I know this is very hard to see. The reed head's going to mount up under here on the carriage itself, and should have plenty of clearance there. I've marked it out at 11 inches, I think, or so. Maybe I'll go to 11.5, but I want to stay clear of that last grub screw if I can, like this one is clear of the scale. So I'm going to bring it in, so I am going to clear that grub screw. And I'll be using this block on the other end. This block is a mirror image of that block. It's exactly the same except a mirror image. So there's a counter bore on the bottom for attaching the scale on top, and then counter bore screw that will go into here. Just a little aluminum block. It's a 1/2 inch thick, 3/4 by 3/4. Very simple, but it will work out real nice for attaching here. Now you'll see these T-slots here on the carriage, front and back, both sides. I have 2 follow rests, the original follow rest for the lathe, and that's where they mount. You can mount one here on each side, go down a long piece. It's a super nice fixturing. It works really well. I've used it several times, cutting long Acme threads for several cross feed screws on carriages, or for cross slides. I've made for a few folks and for myself. It works really good. There's only one problem with having the scale here. I could still come up maybe a little bit, but I don't think I can clear the base of this. about 1/4 of an inch into it, and almost 1/4 of an inch down into it. I might just mill out the side of that so I could be able to install this with the DRO on here without having to remove the scale. So I might play around a little more with this. Maybe if I bring it up a little bit, but I'll be awfully close to the bottom of the compound. But I might be able to get it to clear, but I just don't think I'm going to. It's just probably too much. This is the reed head on the cross slide for the lance, and I didn't put the wipers in yet. These are the little rubber wipers they provide, and that round part slips into a small hole on the side. Once you get them started, with the grease on there, they go right in. I tried it without anything, and it was really difficult to keep some dirt out, or dirt off the scale part here. And you got to remember that is magnetic, and small metal particles, steel, iron type particles can stick to it. So this will help, helps keep it clean. I like that. There's 2 screws. I can take that scale right off and clean it. Or if it's in the way, I can take the 2 screws that hold the reed head off, and I can put in the steady rest I have. So this has worked out really well. Thank you guys for watching. Remember the Bars E Summer Bash, end of June, last weekend in June. Be sure to check out Stan here. I got Bars E shirt on even. Stan's channel, and link in the description, and you can hopefully find a way to attend, especially for people out here on the West Coast and stuff. So I hope you can get there. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.